Okay, everyone, how's it going? It's me here again, and this time I'm going to be talking about Alien. Now, Alien is a huge classic. It's done by Ridley Scott. It's basically a space horror movie. It's probably one of the best known ones. This is actually the movie that introduced the xenomorph, and this movie's tagline was always, "In space, no one can hear you scream," and I like that idea because, I mean, space is all quiet and everything. You're basically stranded out there with nothing around you, and this movie pretty much takes place on the ship Nostromo. Basically, there is the Nostromo is coming back to Earth from a mission with 7 crew members, and the ship ends up detecting a signal from another ship, pretty much an SOS, and so it awakens all 7 people because they're currently in stasis. So they pretty much have to go down onto the planet and investigate. And when they do, they find this giant ship, and this is one of the scenes in the movie that I've always wondered, why does this look so good for its time? Because it's a scene with the space jockey, at least that's what we knew him as at the time, because it's pretty much sitting there and it's dead, but they're really called the engineers if you watch Prometheus, but we won't talk about that. But space jockey at the time is what they were known as, and something about this scene, it always looks so good. I was like, was this really made back then? This scene specifically, was it? Because that whole scene is just like, it can't be. That looks too good. And I always mention that to anyone whenever I talk about Alien, just something about that scene. But along the way, one of the members gets infected, and so whenever they're back on the Nostromo and they're eating, he ends up like having compulsions and everything, and all of a sudden the chest burster just pops out and just goes away. And the best thing about that is that was John Hurt in that, and in Spaceballs he plays that same exact guy at the very end who has the chest burst pop out of him. He's just like, not again, and it's just hilarious because it's just such a memorable scene when that thing busts out of him, because they have what is called a face hugger, and at the time it wasn't really known much about how it all works, but the thing that pretty much haunts them through the entire movie is the xenomorph, which is that chest burster that popped out of him, which was from the facehugger, because the facehugger pretty much just wraps around and just like implants the thing inside of him, and it just bursts out. So it's the human body basically incubates these things, and so they end up hunting for it, and they figure out pretty much that its blood's basically acid. And over the course of the whole movie, the xenomorph is pretty much just picking them off one by one, because xenomorphs are smart, and especially this one, and I think one of the first ones to go might be Dallas. I don't remember, it's been a long time since I've seen it, but he's one of the first ones to get attacked by it in the ducts. And so Ripley is pretty much the last one ever left in the movie. She's the one that's actually trying to fight, and she has a little cat, and I don't know why, but somewhere in the movie, the cat's left in like a little, pretty much cat carrier, and the xenomorph doesn't attack it at all. I don't know, but I'm assuming it just couldn't get through. Maybe it just didn't care for it. And it's not known really if the xenomorph feeds off the humans or not, so that much was not known in the movie. I don't think it's still actually known. But I just like this movie. I remember a long time ago, this movie actually scared me, and especially it's just way with the xenomorph, because you can kind of, on its head, you can kind of see it's like shells fluoresce, so you kind of see its skull, and it just has like the long tail, and it uses that to kind of like grab you, stab through you, and everything. The xenomorph has the like second mouth, which like just busts through like your skull or wherever it tries to hit you with it, and it just terrified me so much. It doesn't terrify me now, but it's something about the aesthetics of the movie and the way it's done that helps it. Like the way the movie looks helps us like the movie, and I don't want to say it hasn't aged well, because it hasn't aged poorly at all. It still is a pretty decent movie to this day, and I just love the way that the space jockey ship look. It's just like pretty much a giant U, and you can tell that the space jockey itself is just giant, just in that chair, and it's like not known like what this is, like where did this come from. Like all they know pretty much is that the xenomorph came from the ship because that's where they found the eggs. So it's a movie I really enjoyed. I love the whole Alien story and everything. I love the backstory to it. I think I prefer the Alien versus Predator like story of like how the xenomorphs came about, rather than the whole like Prometheus thing and how like everything like lines up to what like how Alien and the rest of it all go, like where the xenomorphs came from. I think I prefer the Alien versus Predator one on that, but something about just not knowing like how did this happen, like how did the space jockey crash here, like what was going on, where's everything else that was in there, like where's all the other, like there has to be more than one person piloting that ship, there has to be more xenomorphs, how did he crash, it burst, where's the other ones at, so it's just like where. And the first one, this planet takes place where Hadley's Hope is eventually going to be, so it's a movie I really enjoyed. I would go and play Alien Isolation even, because it's like a great other story that takes place inside that universe, along with Alien and Aliens. So I would highly recommend watching this movie, especially if you love the whole like space horror movie type stuff. I would definitely go with this one. But that is all, and I will see you guys next time.